one was, this is shocking transfer portal news, Craig. Houston running back Alton McCaskill on his way to Colorado. And when he announced his intentions to transfer, Bruce Feldman said, keep an eye on Colorado. And a month or so has passed since then, maybe not quite a month. And there was a lot of heat given towards, you're just getting on Deion for this.
We had one guy in the chat room try to take a stance on me, singling out Deion, and the whole reason I singled out Deion the day after Alton McCaskill announced his decision was because Bruce Feldman in particular mentioned Deion, and the guy or the lady took issue with the fact of, why are you worried about the Deion part of it? And the reason why I was worried wasn't worried is far too strong a word. The reason why I singled out the Deion part of it was because that was the part that was mentioned. Yeah. He specifically mentioned Deion. And then the other part of it, they need players. Yeah, that's true. And they're getting players. They're getting guys from all over the place. But they're not typically just lifting starters who are coming off ACL injuries left and right. And, Alton McCaskill, as Dana Holgerson said, was their guy. I mean, they went through the entire spring, thought he was the guy. Everything's fine. He's rehabbed. He's done all those different things he's supposed to do. He's healthy. He's going to be a big star for them after having a huge year 2 years ago. And he rehabbed at Houston and did all of that. They get him through spring. And shoot, man, all that's left is a couple months wait, and they get into summertime, and boom, he's going to enter the Big 12 and maybe be the star running back. And instead, he gets all the way to almost go time here as the spring semester's ending, and now he's suddenly in the transfer portal without any indication whatsoever that there was an issue, that there was any sign whatsoever that this was a possibility. And so it was downright shocking to the folks there. And I don't think that's typically how it's been working with Deion and his guys that he's picking up. He's picking up guys who don't have starting jobs or who are maybe looking to extend their careers and new opportunities, but that's not like every guy. Like, he's just a different level of star was my point, that it feels like that's weird to mention him specifically with Alton McCaskill like an hour after it happens. Like, that didn't add up to me as, of course you'd mention him because they need players. Well, a lot of people could use Alton McCaskill. I mean, Florida also could use Alton McCaskill. Clearly they came after him. So anyways, we got bogged down in that for a second, but this was mentioned for a reason, so it's absolutely no surprise that a month later, after they let it kind of cool off a little bit, that Alton McCaskill is in fact going to go play for Deion in Colorado, just like Bruce Feldman hinted at. And I'm not saying he's like nefarious or, I'm not saying it's anything dirty. I'm just saying that was so obvious that night when it occurred. And that's what I was pointing out. And here you go. He's at Colorado with Deion. So whatever happened, that's a great pickup for the Buffaloes. And that's a big loss for Houston. And I just hope that he can stay healthy, because if he can, then he'll have a tremendous, year there and put up a bunch of yards and make some huge plays for them, and it'll be a beautiful thing to watch. So that's a great pickup for the Buffaloes, and I'd be ecstatic if I were, those in black and gold up in Boulder.
I would love to have 1/100th of the confidence that Deion Sanders has. Because I don't consider myself a person who's not confident, but if I could just get a little bit of that confidence juice, because when he was asked about all the transfers, everything, I just remember thinking how funny it was that he was like, y'all just don't know who we got coming. And I thought, well, neither do you. Like, you don't, and a lot of these guys that you're getting are in the portal for a reason. They did not keep their job at a school that's better than you right now, Deion. This is not where it's probably going to be in a couple years with Deion if the upward trajectory continues, where guys are going to jump in the portal because there's going to be a lot of heat on it, and Deion is going to be successful, because I think he will be. I genuinely do. But right now, you are trying to rebuild a team that was 1-11, and I completely understand his tact here, in that this is a team that was 1-11. I shouldn't want to keep most of these guys. I'm going to throw them in the water, and then I can get better guys that can go better than 1-11, even though they're not starting at wherever they came from. Houston, Houston, they're starting, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's confidence that you just can't, make up. That he's like, yeah, y'all don't know who we had coming.
Well, is it confidence or just knowledge? He already knew who they had coming in. He's like, y'all won't believe who we got, because he already knew. Yeah. I think that was more of it, Paul, than just being confident that with a blank slate of paper they were going to start landing guys just for whatever reason. I mean, I'm sure there was some of that he felt like, hey, I'm Dion, and we're going to have a cool thing here, and we're going to be able to go get players. I think there's absolutely some guys that have jumped on board that weren't on the initial list, but if we're going to give him all this credit for being so smart and such a wise man and all of that, well then, I mean, we'd be stupid to think he didn't have this in mind already, right? When he was saying that, going and getting an Alton McCaskill or going and getting, however many other number of players that you want to mention. But yeah, he's going to attract talent. There's no doubt. And I think that was, a big pull for McCaskill and for whoever else has signed up. And, how that all works in year one, I think is what everybody's fascinated to see, is how quickly can you, extreme makeover something, because that's absolutely what this is. They're tearing it down to the studs and, rebuilding it back with some real studs and, with a whole lot of new accommodations and new fancy things and, fancy talent and, a fancy head coach who is as confident as anybody out there, and who certainly has the opportunity to really, be a jolt of just kind of an interesting change out west. But, that's a huge pickup for them. And I think that he was well aware that there would be some guys like that he'd have the opportunity to pick up. So he's doing what he can to fill up that roster, and it's been fascinating to see parts of it. But it's really good. I'm really looking forward to the season and just seeing what that team looks like and how they play, because they play TCU and Nebraska right out of the gates. And if he plays well, or they play well, I should say, and win a game or win a cup. Like, I'm not banking on it, but that would, you think there's headlines now. Just wait for that to happen. So the off season's fun, but the actual season's more fun to see what the actual results are, and that will be, a program obviously that gets a ton of attention, good, bad, or otherwise, in year number one. But it will be fascinating to see how all that works.
Yep. All right. Now,
and I don't want to skip over Jair Shorter either. He had a great year and a great career at North Texas. He's from Killeen. So you got to see him play a few years ago in high school, and he's a really good player. That's a great pickup for Auburn. They got Philip Montgomery in there as OC, and obviously Hugh Freeze. I think we're going to probably mention Hugh Freeze more often than Philip Montgomery. I mean, he's the head coach. I get that, but offensively, I know that he's got a big hand in it as well. But Philip Montgomery, I mean, we watched him do his thing with the Baylor offenses back in the day that a lot of teams are now running. We're running similar things, too, with their own tweaks, like Josh Heupel is. But you got a lot of interesting offensive talent that they're starting to accumulate there. So that's another team that, in year one, how much of a change can Hugh Freeze make for the Tigers, and what kind of an impact can he make? Because they've hit the portal hard as well. And I think Jair Short is a really good player. I don't know if there's any connection there previously or not, but I do like that pickup for them.
All right.